Good day and welcome to the OCR Reports live coverage of DEKA Norcal. I'm Dave Claxon, along with me today, Bethany McChesney. And we got a really good race today. We have last year's second place man in the World Championship for DEKA FIT, Ryan Kent, out here to try to get his qualifying time in, and Lauren Weeks, who is one of the best all-time hybrid athletes. Bethany, what are you looking for today? Who do you think is going to come out and make a big jump today?
So we're watching the men's race first. So unfortunately we did have Rylan he's not able to make it today. He has some issues going on with his house. So we're gonna have Ryan Kent. Forrest Bogue is coming back off of a bit of, he had a back surgery about 7 months ago and he's feeling really fit and ready to go. He took a whole minute off his strong time recently. So I know he's gonna come out strong. We have Jack Bauer looking to make a good time here. And then Jeremiah Mahan. And then we have a few guys also coming who've put in some solid times in High Rocks lately. Taylor Turney, Aaron Nolan. And we might be seeing Dustin Needham in this first heat as well. We're not sure of that yet, taking Ryland's spot. So I think there's going to be, I think this race might go out Ryan Kent. And then I think there's going to be a good battle for those other two podium positions on the men's side.
I'm really interested in seeing Taylor Tooney. I mean, he's the man out of Alaska. He's a great mountain runner. He's got the wheels. He's got the legs. We know he's got the engine. The question is, does he have that specificity in his training to keep up on the stations, and will he lose too much time there? With Rylan being out, there's definitely a podium spot open. I mean, this was going to be the Ryan Kent Rylan Shadag battle take two. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Taylor can inject himself into that podium area. Another one that is great to watch too, is always there, is John Howard III. We had John Howard III. He is always there at the Spartan podiums. We saw him last year at Worlds in the, I believe it was in the mile, competing there at DEKA World Championships. So I expect he will as well be able to jump in there and maybe get in there with Forrest and Jack and Jeremiah Mahan and see if he can up his output. I'm not sure how his training's been so far this year, but he's a guy that I think can jump right up.
Well, and we have a couple of these guys who have not done this race before, so it's their virgin DEKA Fit. So it'll be a good test also to see how they've been able to train for this and see what they can throw down for their first one.
So for those of you who are new to this and who have not participated in a DEKA Fit or a DEKA Strong or any kind of DEKA event, essentially what we're looking at is 10 fitness zones all broken up by 500 meters of running in between. We'll start out with reverse lunges, 500-meter row. We're going to then proceed to box jumps, med ball sit-ups, ski erg, farmer's carry, assault bike, to dead ball over a 4-foot bar, to a tank push pull, and then to finally ram burpees. And the ram burpees are just a signature for, Spartan DEKA. You got to have those ram burpees in there. Who are we seeing in some of the warm-up areas, Bethany? We saw Kent,
Yeah, we're looking at some men and women here in the warm-up area. So we've seen Kent run by, we've seen Jack running a little bit here, and we did see Dustin Needham.
Yeah, I want to actually talk about Jack a little bit. I'm always excited to see Jack perform. Jack is really invested in this. And if you've ever listened to his podcast, the Race Brain podcast, shout out to those guys doing a great job. Jack is expecting a PR today. And he believes as well that it's going to take a lot more this year. Now, Jack last year made it in to the elite men's final, to the DEKA FIT World Championship. And I believe he was the last seed. And so he just made it in this year. He thinks it's going to go more. What do you think it'll take to make it for the finals this year?
So yeah, Jack's time last year was a 31:47, so just getting under that 32-minute mark. So just for reference of what you needed last year to get in, but I think this year the men, are going to have to go under 31 to get into that final, if not low into that low under 31. Ryan Kent is a 28:28, so Rylan has the same time as well. So with men getting 3 minutes faster, um, potentially at the top, I think the men are going to have to step it up. So it'll probably be about a minute faster than it was. So getting down into those 31-minute times, I think, to be in that top.
Yeah, 31 minutes. I think the same thing ought to do it. And last year, I mean, just in reference, you were looking at like a 28 for Kent was last year for his time, and Shadag around the exact same. I believe they actually tied. Um,
Yeah.
it will be. I think yeah, it's definitely. That looks like Forrest Bogue we got there. He looks ready to go.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to take better time. I mean, if we look throughout the thing, and I mean, even personally looking at some of our times and some of the people we're competing against, the times have jumped up this year, and it's what was safe last year, what was decent last year, is just not going to cut it this year. So
Yeah.
if you're interested in getting in and you want to make it to the World Championships, you got to step up your game. You got to be ready to go. I know a lot of these guys are feeling the same way. I expect not today, but I expect this year to see the record broken again,
Mhm.
and to both on the men's and women's sides. I think you'll see the record broken again. If we look at today, and I think we're going to see the same thing in the men's and women's. You're looking at, let's just say, Kent right now with Ryland dropped out. He is undoubtedly a massive favorite on the day. He's going to go out fast, and it's going to be tough, probably after the first couple of stations for anyone to stay with him. And they'd probably be foolish to try to do so. How does a guy like Kent stay motivated to put in a good time today? Or is he just looking for that safety time?
Well, I think one of the benefits that Ryan has is he does do a lot of his training on his own. So he's used to doing these time trials, doing his full efforts on his own. So he has a really good mental game for being able to push himself out front. I think it's and me personally in this situation, it's the fear of being chased is also always there. And I mean, although if someone's not right on your back, you're always trying to think about just adding more time between you and the person behind you. Yeah, so that little extra push of having the person right beside you isn't necessary. And again, he doesn't need to be running world record times right now. It's still early season. We're talking about worlds at the end of the year here. So these are races where you're training through and looking to get some solid times. And for him, he just needs something that's safe. So he doesn't necessarily have to have that 110%. So he's just racing to try to put as much time as he can between him and that second place, likely a chase group.
If he let's just say he had it in his mind today, because he went in here today with the idea of fighting with Rylan Stag. That was the plan. That was the go for it. So that would have been how he prepped for this. Is it now an advantage to him to not have that, or is it a disadvantage? Like, will that help him along? I mean, obviously, it's probably an advantage towards winning the race, but as far as setting a time,
Yeah, I mean, for him to come out here and drop some world record time or even close to his 28-minute time on his own would definitely indicate some very good fitness for him at this point. It's the benefit he has though is there's a bit of that pressure off. Him and Rylan had such incredible battles at um, at the World Championships last year, and that really takes a lot out of you to be pushing redlining 100% of the time like that. So I think it takes a bit of the pressure off, which is probably nice for him at this point in the season. But yeah, for him to do anything under his best time would be pretty remarkable.
I like when I think back to worlds where the two of them went head to head. That was the big highlight was those two going head, and actually they were considered obviously the proverbial favorites in that race, having set such great times going in. It it was a wonder at that in that race they went out and they kind of blew each other up. They ended up really probably costing each other a chance at the win. And then Rich Ryan, who ran an incredibly smart strategic race, came in and swooped in for the win.
Yeah.
I was thinking and hoping this today that I was wondering if they would actually go out a little bit slower. And I wonder if the two of them had prepped this, between each other to go out a little bit slower and not blow up that way. And that way they can maintain themselves.
hmm Yeah, maybe trying a different strategy too. Like we know even just with the few that we've done, sometimes you're trying to see if you could take a little bit off of this time so that you feel a little bit better down the road. So these are kind of those races now where he can try out some different strategies. He has this really dialed in though. So he might just kind of run his own race and almost just time trial it in a way. But I mean, he can't slow down too much here at the beginning because I think there are some guys who are really going to be pushing it to get their own personal best. So
I would love to see Jack just run up behind him and just push him. I know it'd blow up for Jack. It wouldn't go well, but it would be very entertaining for me, and that's what I'd be after. I think, yeah. I mean, Ken is obviously the class. He's been the class here all year. There we got Jack right there getting a good warm up in as always. Uh, sure, he's prepared and ready to go. I would like to see the big one I want to see today. The race I think will end up being the race is Jack and Forrest Bogue. They've had good races in the past, and I think they'll have another one
yeah.
today, and that could possibly be for that second place on the podium, depending on how Jeremiah Taylor Tooney, John Turney, John Howard third, how all those guys fare, and how Aaron Nolan. I believe Aaron Nolan can end up putting in a good race here. I think he is capable of a much better time than he has in the past.
Mhm.
Looks like we're getting,
So Aaron Nolan has a 112 High Rocks time from LA last year.
and then a 36:52 for a fit, but he's got an 18:33 for a mile, and that actually, to me, those numbers seem a little bit off, which makes me think he's capable of more in a fit.
Yeah.
Looks like they are in the middle of the anthem. Some people don't like that, but I'm still all favor of the anthems before. I'm all about it. I think they're
Mhm.
great. It works for me.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll be having athlete introductions soon. So for those out there, Beth, race strategy. How do you play this strategy in this race? Even if let's just say this is your first DEKA fit and you're coming out and you want to put in a good strategy to put in your best time. What's the way to go about it?
For the DEKA fit, yeah, I think with the DEKA that we've learned is you don't want to burn out on those first few stations. It's really hard to not go too hard on the rower and the box overs because you're just feeling so good at that point. And same with the running. And I mean, everyone kind of goes out in these hybrid races super fast. And unless you have the ability to come out of that lactic state really well, or you have stations that you can knowingly recover on really well, just not diving too deep into lactic in those early stations, because once you hit that bike and that station number 7, that can really, really take a hit on your overall time if you cannot move that bike. So the bike can have a variance of minutes if you're blowing up there. So if you're coming into that station 7 with legs full of lactic acid, then you're in trouble. So playing it cool at the beginning, through those first few stations especially, and then finding spots where you can kind of recover, whether it's the ball over the wall is a good one for a lot of people. Farmers carry, if you don't find the weight too taxing. And then adjust your runs based on the stations that you're coming into, that you know are going to take a little bit more out of you. So coming into the bike, let's say, if you need to take it back, 5 seconds per 500 or 10 seconds just to lower your heart rate a little bit more coming into those stations you find difficult is a good strategy. And I know Ryan Kent does that as well. So he takes it easier coming in and out of the bike, and just smashes the bike. So he needs a little bit extra. And taking 5 seconds off of your run or 10 seconds off your run will lower your heart rate enough that you would just come in feeling that tiny bit extra fresh. So yeah, you play around a little bit with your run paces and then which stations it's safer, it's better for you to not really destroy, especially at the beginning.
We should be getting close. If we can get some background noise, we'll see if we can work on that. But I mean, some small issues with that. Looks like they're getting their final instructions. I found, and I tell everybody that starts, it's just like you say, the rower to me always seems to be that giant trap.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a trap. It gets it, like you say, it gets you feeling so good, and like you can keep going. Like this is great. You're always going to feel that way, and then it always comes back to bite you. But it looks like we're getting right ready to go. We'll have the clock up in the corner so that you can see the men's time. Pretty much, we're looking for here. You're going to see a lot of sub 33s, I think, and possibly a sub 30 from Kent. And they're off. And it looks like Forrest Bogue is taking it out. I actually look forward to seeing Forrest do the box overs. I always think it's great to see those incredibly fast. He's not a very large, not a very big guy, not very tall, but man, he can move. And he has that body weight ability.
Yeah. I think Forrest is about 5'4". He comes from a wrestling background, so those body weight movements for him are where he's super comfortable.
Well, and
Or if he's in
anytime we
box
saw him,
overs.
yeah, anytime we saw him in any of the virtual competitions, he was just a dominant force. Yeah, and that is him leading out there. We got Kent with him. And I think that might be Taylor Tooney beside them. Jack coming up. John Howard near the back. I think John Howard may make a move later on. He's done quite a few of these and understands where he needs to be and when he needs to be there. And the first station, of course, we'll be going into is 30 reverse lunges. That's with a 55-pound ram on your back. They can rack it. They can put it on their both shoulders, one shoulder, whatever they want. But they are not supposed to do jumping lunges. There does tend to be some leeway in the judging on this. They should be coming around soon. They got to complete two 250-meter laps, and then they'll go into each station. Looks like they're coming in. Forrest still taking the lead.
So, and that there with the long hair and the headband, I believe that is Aaron Nolan, right, with Jack Bauer.
And look at Forrest. Forrest changing the system here. He's going sideways. He's going perpendicular on the mat.
I wonder if that's because his foot is on the ground, but his knee is hitting the mat, and those mats look kind of thick. So in a way, you're not going down as far.
He may be giving himself actually 1 inch of extra height there.
Yeah.
It's an interesting technique.
Also, if
And
these
there's
mats are
Forrest
really
out.
squishy, they can be a bit unstable.
Forrest and Kent both out. Yeah, and some of them you saw actually chose to remove the thick mats to move them out of the way. I'm personally a fan of those. I'll take the break on my knee any day.
Thick. Yeah, I think they're really squishy, and I've used mats like that, and you're so wobbly on your feet sometimes. So I bet that's why he did it that way. Smart move.
That's different. That's interesting. I have not seen someone do that. Not intentionally for sure. Anyway, again, we're going to be now. There's two 250-meter laps or 500 meters going into zone 2, which is 500 meters of row. I'm interested. And there's Bogue right up there with Kent. He's staying with. I wonder if Forrest has decided he's going to throw down today.
So he put in a 12:04 strong recently, which is a minute off his time from the previous year.
That is top notch too. That's getting right up there. I mean, your best times are low 11s. And if he's hitting 12:04 this early in the season, that puts him in good
Yeah.
line. And you know what? He is a name that really didn't participate as much last year. So it's good to have another guy thrown in with the top guys. Just the sport is
Yeah,
expanding.
he had some serious sciatic issues, so he had back surgery last year, so that's why we didn't see him.
That's the worst stuff. You see a lot of
Yeah.
army, a lot of military presence here today, helping out. And here we got Forrest and Kent still rolling on together.
So they're
Now,
still running about 90 seconds.
what kind of time do you think we'll see out of the rowers? And is this a spot where it couldn't hurt Forrest with his size?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that shorter body, it's just your pull length is it's different, and he has to work a little bit harder than to get the same amount of power out of each stroke. So he could come out a little bit behind Kent on this one, and I'm sure he's anticipated that. Kent is
Yeah,
very strong on the rower as well.
yeah, I expect Kent to be somewhere around the low 140s, possibly sub 140, depending on how he's feeling and what he thinks necessary for the day. This is a spot where I could see Jack make a move and come up and get a little closer to Forrest on that. I expect
Jack
him.
checking Ryan's screen.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing when you do that? Do you want to look? Do you look over and check? Because I am a peeker. I will always look at the
I
people's
do.
screens beside me. Yeah. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if it's helpful or not. Maybe it screws with my strategy, but I can't help it. I gotta know, and it helps me figure out where I want to be. Look at Kent. Kent is just
Ryan having a
completely
little
relaxed.
chat.
He's asking Yancey what we're doing for dinner. You want to run some double doubles
Yeah.
together? And again, Yancey Culp, the mastermind behind DEKA, he is the guy who puts all this together. And quite frankly, he's a hell of an athlete himself. So if you are ever at a DEKA, you got to see him go. He's putting out more energy than the people running the race. He's all over the place.
He just ran doubles with Nick Riker. Oh, there we have Ryan finishing.
Let's see if we can get back to it,
Forrest
see who comes out second.
Forrest is just finishing now.
You know what? I think that was pretty good. I think Forrest did some good damage control there.
So there in second we have Aaron Nolan. Oh, sorry, that's Dustin Needham.
Yeah, Dustin Needham, yeah, who did get put into the field, which is good to see.
Hmm.
So Ryan went with a 150 there. Grady Jackson actually gained some time on him. I think Ryan just decided this was time where he could just relax.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw him very conversational at a conversational rowing pace.
Hmm.
All right, now
So
we're going
then
to be coming
now
into
we'll see two. So yeah, if some of those guys maybe put out a little bit too much on that row, we'll have to see.
now coming into 20 box overs. What technique do you think you're going to see here? There's a couple of different where people go with the trailing leg or with the closer leg. What do you think works best?
What do you mean the trailing leg? Like they cross
So
over?
yeah, they'll do the crossover.
Oh no, that gets really trippy. I lead people. I see most people lead with one leg and then they tap down quickly without shifting their weight. I have seen a couple people where they jump down both feet together lately, and I've seen some guys doing it. So I don't know if maybe that's something new that people are trying, where their feet come down together and then they bring one foot back up. So
Yeah, I think in the last one I actually saw someone doing full on box jumps, which is probably the fastest technique, but energy output wise doesn't seem wrong. And here comes Ryan in.
yeah. And he faces the box as this is how I do it as well. I face the box as I come into it. I just find I have most control that way.
Yeah, now you'll find some people will take that leg closer to the box or keep sideways. And actually, I think if you see Needham in the background, he's doing it where he's the leg closer to the box, a little hop and going over.
Yeah. And that looks like Taylor coming in third.
Jack in
Jack
there
is right
now.
there.
Jack with that height, that can be an advantage. Forrest with a large drop off. Looks like either he had a really bad run there or maybe he went too hard on that rower already, as we said, fell for that trap. So what's a
So we
what's a
have
good
some.
time for this?
This one, we're getting into low 30 seconds.
And John Howard was moving well there. And there's Dustin. So it looks like right now we've got Kent, then Dustin, and then I think that's Aaron.
Why is so
Forrest is
Forrest
walking.
is walking?
Is
Uh
this a
oh.
possible back issue? I don't like seeing that. Yeah, that's never a good thing to see. We don't want to see. We want to see Forrest back in. We got fourth. Jack is currently sitting in fourth. And this is kind of what I expected out of Jack. He usually is more of a methodical starter. Got fifth there and sixth. Now we're going to be going into the med ball sit-ups, 20 med ball sit-ups. So this one's a little bit different if you've never done it. You got to hit the 4-foot target with a 20-pound med ball. Definitely takes a bit of a rhythm. Feels a little awkward at first, but some guys we have seen make good moves. I mean, Kevin Gregory's famous for making huge moves at this, literally just throwing the ball almost from the ground to the target.
So they discussed making a rule about how the angle that your body had to come up.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't
Yeah,
change that though, did they?
I don't think completely. I think there might be a suggestion to the 45-degree angle. Um, anyway, like I said, we have Kent and we have Dustin. They're definitely separated themselves.
Let's go, Jack. 30 seconds down, Jack.
Kent already down and out. And I think you're seeing, again, Jack making moves here. I think he's going to probably, after the run on this, I wouldn't be surprised to see him move his way into third. John Howard the third there. And in blue, is that Aaron in blue?
Um, Aaron has long hair.
Oh, okay. So
Well, this is just according to the pictures, unless he cuts his hair.
his Instagram.
Yeah, his last race at High Rocks, he had long hair.
Well, eventually we're going to have to get DEKA to supply everybody with proper jerseys so we can read their names.
Yeah.
And there is Jack out in third, so he actually did make the move there. So pace-wise, if they're doing around 90 seconds per lap, what kind of pace is that for people to know?
Yeah, so that's a 3 minute kilometer. So their first one, if for the kilometer they were 95 seconds, so a 3:10 kilometer. So that's moving.
And is that sustainable for most of these guys?
Well, for the most part, that first lap is always the fastest. So they'll drop down a little bit, but they're not going to end up going much slower than a 3:20 kilometer. So doing them in about 90 seconds to a minute 40.
And you can see here that like Kent has lapped a lot of the guys on the run, except for some guy who just ran past him. But I don't expect that to. Maybe he's getting
So
his
I
lap back.
think they set off the second men's heat.
That's what we have going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wave.
There you go, Kent onto
Yeah.
the skier.
Yeah, they
And
set off the second wave.
lay out the skier for us here. Like a lot of people have not even got a chance to try this. So what's a good time? What's a good form?
Yeah, so on average, the ski erg is 5 seconds slower than your row. And again, really big differences in strategies for this one. Ken's using that full body, hips back, so using more power from the hips, shooting back, and a nice long stroke, and then that straight back pull. So we have our second place person.
Second place.
Yep, we got Dustin coming in. This is where the race starts, though. Normally, in a tight race, when you're really going hard, this is where it starts to begin. This is where it starts to hurt. And the rest of it seems like the beginning is more of a warm. This is where you're gonna start to feel it, and you're gonna have to crank up that output.
Fifth there.
And that's John. Is that John Howard there? Yeah, I believe it is.
Yes.
It's John Howard in third, or in fifth, sorry.
Yeah, some people choose more upper body pull. It's kind of a CrossFit style where they use a little bit less of their legs. And then I find sometimes more in high rocks, they do a big swoop around to give their shoulders a little bit of a break. But typically with DEKA, they do that straight back pull there. So now we see on the right, he's doing a bit more of the butterfly to give his shoulders a bit more of a break.
I've never found that to really be effective for me. And actually, I've seen it cause problems at times where they have the machines too close together, and there's Kent already out, and it becomes a problem where you end up hitting the person beside you.
Yeah.
Kent, 14 and a half, and he is through station 5, zone 5, looking like he's on a good pace. 149 from Kent. I think that's, I don't want to call it a pedestrian pace for Kent, but that's not him putting the hammer down. I think he's saving this, and he's going to put a big kick at the end to really see if he can improve his time.
So here we're seeing sometimes Grady Jackson.
Yeah, so we might have that name wrong. That may be Grady Jackson in second.
Yeah.
Number 2, he's coming out now, and that is Grady Jackson.
Okay. So he is not even on my list.
No, he's not. But we have that Taylor Turney, who we did say could be a podium threat, doing a 2:01. Jack just coming off his.
Nice.
The 2:05. Now, keep in mind, this also, that split time includes as soon as they run into the zone to when they run out of the zone, which means it could be a little extra setup, could be a little bit off. But you just see the difference in Kent's time already being like 11 seconds, 12 seconds faster than anybody else so far at the bare minimum. But Jack and Taylor are having a great battle here. Lucas Garrett with
Grady Jackson then with the long hair. So we have been mixing up that name, but
Kent onto the farmer's carry. That's 60 pounds in each hand for 100 meters. Now the farmer's carry in a DEKA Fit's way different than a DEKA Strong or a DEKA Mile, right? How does it differ, Beth?
Yeah, so in the strong and in the mile, it's a down and back. So you have that pivot time in there, whereas in the fit, it's a nice course laid out. So the times can be almost half as fast. He's not sprinting this. We have seen them go much faster, but you can do them in 30 to 40 seconds in this setup, whereas usually in the mile and the strong, it can be upwards towards a minute. So it's really nice doing it this way, actually.
Back in Worlds, there were some really awesome moves made on the farmer's carry. Everybody underestimates the farmer's carry, and there's Grady coming in for his. So he's probably about 40 seconds behind Kent. I think back especially to the women's race, huge moves made by Tara Jackson on the farmer's carry. And that's where Lauren Weeks went from leading the field, and then she dropped back off at that point. That was not a great day for her. Injury-wise, she was not 100%, but also, Rich Ryan made his move in the men's division on the farmer's carry. It was when he came out and ended up from hanging back a bit to being right on Ryland Steg's shoulder, and then eventually making a pass shortly after they came out on the run there. Mm-hmm. So the question now becomes, we've got Grady pretty solid in second, Kent out in front, but we've got Jack and Taylor yet to get the farmer's carry. Oh no, there they are, side by side.
There.
And Jack loves himself a farmer's carry. He's itching to try to get by here. So we have 44 seconds from both Kent and Grady.
Come on, Jack.
So they are 20 seconds behind Grady. Oh, a little bit more. About 25 seconds behind Grady.
And put down the weights simultaneously, and then they're off. 43 identical times.
Nice.
And looks like Jack pulled ahead on the run. Hopefully we can stay with this, because this will be the battle for that third spot on the podium. One thing definitely I know about Jack compared to Taylor is that Jack is very familiar with compromise running. He's used to this. He's trained for this, whereas Taylor, I believe, is much more runner. Now he does have some Spartan experience, but this is something different. This isn't the same. And I think you can see Jack opening it up a little bit and just putting a little separation between them. And that's going into the bike. So this is going into the bike, which we got Ryan Kent on the bike, and he's not holding back. He's putting in, I'm going to say that's a six, I don't know, maybe 700 watts.
Mm-hmm.
I think
So Ryan can do the bike in 40 seconds in a race if he
I'm
wants
expecting
to.
he's going to pull off a 45 to 50 here.
Mm-hmm.
Can't quite see his output there, but I'm going to say 45 to 50 for this. He doesn't need to do more than that, and there's no sense blowing himself up. But in relationship, what would like be a regular person's time on that bike? And there he is, finished up already.
Like a regular gym goer.
Regular gym goer, like
like 3 minutes. 3 minutes is actually not bad for like some girls in my gym. But yeah, like when people first come out and do their first deck, it's usually around that 2 to 30 minute mark. So getting under 60 seconds on the bike is remarkable.
And I'm seeing Grady right now looking, and I'm just judging. I can't quite see the screen, but judging from his cadence, I'm saying he's going to be closer to a minute, maybe just over a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's counting down. It's counting down for you right there. 18 to go. Let's push. Come on, Jack. Don't forget his
Looks
guard.
like Jack's right beside him there.
Keep pushing, brother. Come on, give us some more watts.
50 seconds for Kent for that bike.
What did I say? I nailed that. And I think you'll see Grady with a little over a minute. Jack probably, he's sitting in there. It's counting down. I can't quite tell, but he's 20 seconds in.
Yeah.
He looks like a similar to that 1 minute plus pace. I think he's more thinking he needs to pace himself, be smart. Because he's right beside Grady, he can see Grady is not doing as well on this as maybe he's doing before. Maybe he's exerted himself a little early. So let's see. You can just see, even just by the body language. John Howard III in there.
Yeah,
Jack
the
looks
bike
like
is
he's
really
in
where we
pleasure
can see
cruise.
some big changes here.
Oh, it looks like Grady is off. 129. That's a big swing.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that's do you think he's maybe overdone it already? Or do you think that's just a situation where maybe he's just not that familiar with the bike?
He could have overdone it, but I mean, this is also experience. Grady hasn't done a DEKA FIT before, and so you just really don't know how that bike hits. And I think just doing it and knowing to anticipate how that hits, and he might have been pushing the runs before and after a little bit. So yeah, I think that's just an experience thing.
We just had Jeremiah Mahan jump up there, 113 on the bike, and come out in third place. Kent's now on the dead balls over.
So Jeremiah has raced these before, so that's showing his experience with this racing setup. So good for him.
Yeah, he looked like he played that right and came in there kind of, I believe he was in that around that fifth range and jumped into third place. That was a massive, massive jump for him. Mm-hmm. He passed both Jack. I think he passed John Howard, Jack, and Taylor all on that bike. Kent 22 minutes in now with 2 stations left.
Those ball over the walls are a nice opportunity to kind of catch your breath. You get little half-second breaks when the ball drops and you have to walk around.
I've always found like with that dead ball over the bar, it's a spot really where you're not going to make a big move. It's really hard to make a lot of time on there. It's one of those though that you can probably lose a little more time if you get disengaged mentally, because it almost seems easy to like just kind of like coast a bit and drop off because seconds add up so quick in DEKA. Grady's in there. He looks like he's moving a lot better than he was on the bike. So
Grady he's very tall. He looks a couple inches taller than Ryan Kent even when they're running beside each other.
And that is obviously a help on this station.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're wondering, he does have to make sure both feet get into past that bar on the ground for it to be a good rep.
So they've shortened the uprights on this as well, because people used to grab the upright and kind of do a swing around holding it, and they've cut them off now.
And you've got everybody coming in a herd. You had Jack, you had Jeremiah, and I believe you had as well Taylor all coming all at once, and John Howard following them. 58-second from Kent. That to me is just that's a coasting effort from Kent. I think he's put it into neutral. Yeah, 105 from Grady.
So we're not seeing Forrest's name come up anymore, so I'm going to assume he has dropped out.
Oh, that's tragic. Got Kent onto the tank. Let's just see who comes out of here.
Jim, on this one. Okay.
In third place. This battle for third is heating up.
Come on. This is the podium,
And
boys.
looks like Jack out in third place. So did Jeremiah maybe spend a bit too much on that bike, and Jack's conservative gameplay was the smarter move?
Let's go. Chase him down.
Yeah, that could have been the case.
He made 9 seconds up on on the dead ball overs and is probably more fresh. Taylor Turney now a minute 15 coming off there. John Howard with a good 103. But now we've got, see if we can get to Kent working his way through the tank. And again, this is 100 meters of tank push-pull. If you've never done it, it is a bit different than a sled. It's magnetic resistance. And it really feels a little bit odd at first, but it is a heck of a workout.
So, and we can see that they've put that 60-pound dumbbell in it. So on these polished concrete floors, this tank will actually slide across the floor, but they found it corrects itself with the weight in it. And it doesn't change the resistance on the push or pull. It just stops it from actually sliding.
And by the way, if you want to see more of the DEKA and OCR races live stream this year, support the sport and become an OCR Report member today. For less than $5 a month, you can help with live streams like this every single week. Find a link in our YouTube notes, and help out the OCR Report bring you this. Kent is out of the tank push and pull. And now just the burpees left. One run in the burpees. We're at a 26:30 now. So still looking like he may go sub 30.
Yeah, so he can do his burpees in about he usually does them in around 60 to 65 seconds. So he'll be in that 29 lows.
Yeah. And Grady now on there. Jackson on. We have a bit of a rough picture there, but 2 minutes dead for Kent on that. That's a pretty solid time. Anything under 2:15, I find on that tank is really pretty solid. Mm-hmm. Looks like Jack is in there too. If we can maybe get to Sean's camera. There we go.
Yeah.
And you'll find little tips and tricks here, like definitely holding the straps like Jack is there as you push, making that transition important. And you see John Howard not being set up for that. Transition back and forth. You can lose a ton of time on this tank.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like John Howard has that step back and use more upper body, which saves the quads a little bit on the pull.
That battle for third is unbelievably close. Yeah, you can see John Howard was definitely making the fastest pulls of anybody out there right now. Now he has a time to make up, so if he's going to push it, if he's going to make a move, now is it. He doesn't have time to wait. But Jack looking nice and steady. Ryan Kent onto his ram burpees. Still moving well, just 28:30 we're in. He's definitely going to be sub 30. I
Yeah,
would say
Grady out on
probably.
the run. Jack should probably be finishing his pull right now.
And I think next behind him might be Jeremiah, and Jeremiah is about 3/4 of a length behind him. And there goes
There
Jack.
we go.
And Jeremiah's out. Jeremiah with a 2:03, really making that move, knowing he needs to push to catch up. There's Kent across the line, roughly a 29:20. Definitely solidifying his spot for Worlds. And I mean, that was his goal today. When Ryland dropped out, that was the goal. Get a good spot for Worlds. Get yourself solid so that you can now take the rest of the season, train up, and peak in the right time. There we see Jack running, looking for Jeremiah, trying to see the gap. Looks like he's trying to weave his way around some traffic.
So Jeremiah had a very good pull as well, a 203.
Yeah. Does not look to be like Grady's favorite station, just by the form. But that said, he has given himself such wiggle room that he's okay to take his time, and he doesn't need to sell out here. He definitely doesn't need a full send. He just needs to put in some good, solid, clean reps.
Yeah.
Keep his judge happy. A 105 on the ram burpees for Kent. Like, that's fast when no one's chasing you and you have no real, you're in a good solid spot. To put in a 105, that's quick.
Mm-hmm.
I know me, I'm happy with anything under 1:30. Here comes Jack into the ram burpees. So in third. So how much time we get?
So he
Little
had
stammer
about
there.
35 seconds. Grady had about 35 seconds on Jack going into this station.
Jack only has about a 5 to 6 second lead on Jeremiah. Oh, Jeremiah, if only you could have stood beside Jack. That's what we needed here.
Jeremiah seems to be moving a bit faster.
It's going to be close, but the one thing, too, there's Grady across the line, 31:29. That's a great time for him.
So Jack's best is a 31:47, so it doesn't look like he's going to get that today.
No, now I think Jack is just concerned on podium. He wants that third place podium.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is Jeremiah making enough of a move? Jack, again, being a taller guy, Jeremiah a little shorter in stature. Usually the burpees favor the short guy. Like, we can see John Howard moving really well on these burpees. I think he's probably a little too far back to catch that podium, but and there's Jeremiah. Makes the pass. Oh, that's going to be a rough one for Jack.
32:14. Yeah. And a 32:20.
Yeah, and there you go. Yeah. Made about 13 seconds on those burpees. It just is oh so important. So your podium, Ryan Kent, Grady Jackson, Jeremiah Mahan. I think despite the fact for a guy like Jack, he won't be thrilled missing that podium. He still put in a solid run. I think he'll probably, really, a lot of these guys, maybe Grady's maybe okay for the Worlds as far as the time. I don't know. That's going to be iffy. But the other guys, I think they're going to have to put another effort in.
Yeah.
But you can see.
Yeah, and I mean, Jack really did want a fast time today, so I don't know if I don't know if that will sting more than fourth place is the worst place to come in, but I think he really did, especially to be passing the final station. But he really did want a fast time today, so I'm not sure which part will sting a little bit more, but
I wonder if it was Jeremiah. If Jeremiah put in a smart move, not going beside Jack there, and Jack not really visually being able to see him making ground up on him. I wonder if that was actually
Yeah.
just a strategic thing or if he just happened to be that way. Because in hindsight, I'm looking at him like if Jack had seen him right beside him and going, okay, I've lost one rep there. I need to, knowing, hey, he maybe
Mhm.
had like a 3 rep lead going in. Uh, Great race.
So
Obviously, we can move on to the women.
we're about to start, it looks like.
And I mean, we haven't really got a chance to talk about it, so we'll talk as we go. But we do have Lauren Weeks here, who I believe is still the current women's record holder. There you see her in the black shorts and black top,
Mhm.
talking with Yancey there. Can we expect anything other than Lauren to go out like a bat out of hell?
Well, so we do have some solid runners in this field also. I know we have Ashley Heller here, who comes from a track background, and she might try to hang with her a little bit. And then Shannon Payne is also a very good runner. She's in our tie-dye tank top there. So she might go out with Lauren. Alicia's here, Alicia Kruger, and she's also yeah, so but I mean, we know how Lauren loves to race and she wants to go out and lead until she can't lead anymore, and usually it works out for her. So I think that's realistically what's going to happen here. There's also Calypso Sheridan in this race, who I think is going to make a pretty signature race here for her.
Yeah, she has a really good mile time with a 2040, which is fantastic. It's actually faster than Lauren's mile time. But there's Lauren out front. What would it take for Lauren not to come out in first? Like, who would have to be out there to like if Usain Bolt is beside her and she's running, is she still going to try to come out first?
Well, I would say be 8 months pregnant, but it didn't seem to work that way either when she was.
She is just a phenomenal athlete. Other person we haven't mentioned yet is Alina Agatis. She's a Canadian stand-up paddleboarder. She does not have any DEKA times, but obviously is a world-class champion. And anybody like that is going to she's going to be a problem. And I think
She's
that's
actually
Shannon
the
Payne.
stand-up paddleboard world champion.
Yeah, and so she's got the engine. And I've been stand-up paddleboarding. It's not easy. That's especially to go fast. I have enough problems just going. You saw Shannon Payne near the back, and I think that's Shannon laying back and not getting caught up in I hate to say it's getting caught up in Lauren's wake. And I think some of these women are
Yeah.
going out with Lauren and will live to regret it, which is so common. I'm surprised it still happens.
That's the camera.
There's just that race adrenaline that just hits you and you feel so good.
Well, you think about like Tara Jackson, world champion at DEKA FIT. She's not going to go out with Lauren Weeks. She's like, no way, forget it. So we got Lauren coming in.
Alicia's in third. I don't know who that second place girl was.
And I think we talked a little bit about Ashley Heller. Like Ashley, I believe, ran with us in Chicago, and her DEKA time there is, I'm going to say it's false. It's not even right because of the condition she was in at the time, fighting, just coming back from injury. She could definitely be a girl who makes the top 12 this year.
Yeah, she actually was coming off. She had COVID the week before, so I was racing with her, and she was a fair amount behind me, which I wasn't expecting. And she just said her heart rate was spiking, and she just could not bring it down. It was like 190 the whole time. So her time of 40:40 is not what Ashley Heller is capable of. So
There you go. We've got Lauren Weeks out in first, Alicia Keeker in second, Teresa Raffolo in third, and Lena Augusta in fifth right now. So you're seeing times anywhere from 40 down to 56. Let's take the 54 from Shannon Payne. That's a bit of a surprise.
yeah, it is. So just in general, sometimes the taller athletes struggle a bit more on the lunges. I know Ashley Heller, who's about 5'9", 5'10", that is not her favorite movement. So I think she just kind of takes it at her own pace and doesn't worry about what's going on around her. So yeah, those long legs.
And you know what? It still seems like a smart thing to even be hanging back now, still not pushing the pace. And yeah, you say Ashley being a runner is going to make her time up there. And then you can see Shannon Payne is working her way up a little bit. Teresa, though, with a 41, and Alicia with 41, as well as Leslie Hackett, those are really good. That's going to be interesting to see if they can hold that pace or if that's just again, caught in the wake of Lauren Weeks.
Yeah, and this is, as far as we know, this is Teresa's first DEKA Fit. So again, some potentially inexperience. We don't know her training or anything, but she could be just going for it and seeing what she can do, not really knowing.
And Lauren already on the rower. She probably looks like she's got maybe I'm going to guess that's probably about an 80-meter lead, maybe 50 to 80-meter lead. But it looks like some fidgeting with the straps. Now, personally, me, I don't bother with the straps. I just leave them loose. I think it saves time, and I think it is helpful.
Yeah, I don't tighten the straps for a 500 meter.
It's like most of them are in here. I do still obviously expect to see Lauren come out still leading. This could be a chance, and you see some of the women really putting a lot into this. And I think that is just too early to be exerting a hard effort. But you never know. Everybody's a different athlete and different strengths at different points. But I'd like to see a nice, relaxed row. Like we saw with Kent, where Kent was bordering on conversational.
Yeah, he was.
Now, 146 right now, 143. That is quick for a women's row in DEKA.
Yeah, it is. And again, this is Teresa.
Yeah, but perhaps that's her background. Perhaps she's got that. But usually, any women's time under the 2-minute marker, or even around that 2-minute marker, is usually a pretty solid row.
Yeah.
And again, there you see like a 2-minute average right there.
And that's Alicia, who has raced these before. She has a 36.27 PB.
Sorry, 36.27 PB?
Yes, for Alicia, 36.27.
I'm willing to say already she's going to break that today. Going out on a limb. And it looks like she has come off the rower there into second place, and Teresa into third. Yeah, Alicia with the 207, Teresa with the 215. Now, who do we got here coming off? Is that Leslie Hackett?
I believe so. So
no,
that
was
is
Lena.
Lena.
Well, okay, that makes sense that she can row. But you can see, look at the drop off. She was rowing at one point 144 average per 500 meter, and she ended up with a 209.
Mm-hmm. So
that does show that maybe she put in a little too much too early on that. But
so I'm not seeing Calypso in this heat.
So perhaps she didn't. She may not have made it today, mm-hmm. Which is disappointing because I would have loved to seen her run.
Yes. Cool. Yeah. Calypso has a high rocks time of 106, which is very impressive as well. So maybe we'll see her in the future.
Now I'm watching Alicia Keeker run here, and she looks very controlled. She looks smooth. Well, she's a little off camera now, but she looks smooth and just feeling her pace. Lauren in the box, that same technique that Ryan Kent uses. Now, I've found what has been important for me is these boxes, they're not very heavy. They do move around, they do slide a bit, and it's really important to get that foot placement. Because if you place your foot too far on the edge, that box will tilt and slide and move on you. So in order to get a good steady time, you got to have that foot placement near the center of the box.
So Lauren Weeks has changed her shoe choice. So
So what is she
normally,
wearing?
well, it looks like she's wearing a Saucony speed shoe. So normally she races in the New Balance 1400s, which don't have a propulsion plate, but it looks like she's trying something new here. And again, those propulsion plates get a little bit tricky when you're racing high rocks with the sled push and pull, but with DEKA, it's not as much of a concern. So she has changed her shoes.
And we see Teresa actually doing box jumps, which is not very often. I think the last person I saw use this strategy in the women's was Corinna Coffin, where she does that jump up, single leg step down, immediately bounce up. She
Mhm.
does be moving at a good pace, but energy wise, is this the smartest move?
Well, I mean, when we started the first DEKA races, everyone seemed to do the box jumps, and then we switched to the step overs. It does save a bit in your legs. She might come from that functional fitness CrossFit style background where usually they do have to do box jumps. So that could just be what she's most comfortable with.
And she did put in a 43, but I mean, she was only 1 second faster than Alicia, and Alicia looked much more relaxed in her pace. We see Ashley Heller really nice. This is a crossover style that doesn't look great. Now, mind you, she's coming out okay, and I think she will be fine due to her running
Mhm.
skills. But
And
like
she's
she,
moving up as well.
now what we're not seeing really moving up yet is Shannon Payne, which surprises me.
Shannon Payne was in the top 12 last year at DEKA World.
I mean, a 58-second box for Shannon Payne, that seems that seems out of order.
Mhm.
Well, we will see if Teresa can hold on to that pace. I mean, she did look good. She didn't look terribly out of control, but it is more of a costly move. Got Lauren in there doing her med ball sit-ups already. And she, again, I think much
So,
like Kent, she is now just pacing.
yeah, it doesn't look like there's going to be someone challenging her at this point. So Samantha Faddis is in that mix right now too, in that top five, and she has a mile time of 24:32 and a strong time of 15:51. So she at least has experience.
We'll see if she can bump her way up. Here comes second place. Still Teresa in second. And what can you tell us about Teresa's running form there?
She runs like an Alandra Greenlee. It's very
Well,
similar.
doing anything like Alandra Greenlee is a compliment.
Yeah, yeah, no shame in that. I don't again I don't know Teresa, but she looks like she probably comes from a CrossFit background just with some of the way she's done these movements and smashing that rower and yeah, she's not super smooth on the run. It's probably not her background, but she's holding a good pace, so it's working for her.
And much like the men's race here, yeah, Lauren already seems to have moved out much like Kent did, but the battle for second and third is really anybody's game at this point. And like we said, the race starts so much when you get to that ski erg, so we're not even to the ski erg yet. Coming off the ski erg, we will know a lot. And look at you mentioned Ashley Heller's length.
Yeah.
Look at how she barely is releasing the ball whatsoever to hit the target.
Yes. Yes. Just a bit slower off the ground, and she's still right beside Lena Agastis, our stand-up paddleboarder.
So Teresa with a 101 on the med ball sit-ups. Oh, Ashley with a bit of a break there. That's not a great sign this early. Alicia with a 58. Good time for her. I think you're going to see her experience show later in this race.
Come on, Sam.
There we go, out in just a big group of them all at once. And a 1 minute dead from Leslie Hackett. Not too bad there. Ashley Heller with a 107. Lauren onto the skier. Lauren with a lot of experience on the skier. I mean, she's probably going to turn out like I'm going to guess around the 2 to 205 marker.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a comfortable pace for her, but still moving pretty solid.
Now remember, this isn't just for the elites. If you want to get out there, you can get out there and run your own DEKA Fit. Check out the DEKAFit.com for an event near you. Next race is in SoCal, Southern California. Check it out, and get your fit on. It's a race for everybody. Anybody can do this. That's why it's designed for everyone to take part. This is the pointy end of the spear of these people here.
Jeremiah, chase him.
Now, Alicia's a good runner. She has a Spartan background, correct?
Yeah,
It'll
yeah,
be
she comes
interesting
from
to
a
say.
Spartan.
It'll be interesting to see how that plays versus Teresa.
Yeah, the engine. And again, you kind of see what happens on that seventh station and how they run after that. So we'll see the engine for Teresa when she comes into the later stages.
Well, she has been maintaining the gap on the run, which shows she does have that capability. She's not uncomfortable with the run, and you can see her actually leaving the ground. And I know you're
Yeah,
familiar
very
with this.
dynamic on the skier. So this is going to shoot her heart rate up a little bit more.
Yeah, you can just see the difference in
Lauren, very
style between
comfortable.
them.
Fourth place, fifth place, all nice and tight.
There we go. We got Alicia and we got Jess and Samantha, I believe. They're all coming in at once. That battle for third is going to go all day. It does look like Shannon Payne has finally got into that chase pack. A 207. 207 was the last for Lauren. 212 total. I think she took a little time off on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be a chance where some could make moves. I'm interested again in this Teresa and Alicia battle. And can someone like Shannon Payne get back into that?
So we have Lena here.
At a 205 pace now. This should again be something, a movement that would be in her wheelhouse. I mean, it is similar in using that core of your whole body core as it is for the paddling on the stand-up boards. A position, she is in the stand-up position. I think this could favor well for her.
Mm-hmm. Still using a lot of upper body. Maybe saving her legs a bit.
Well, and that's the question, right? Like how much leg work is in stand-up paddleboard? That turnover's got to be something different. You see Ashley Heller in the background using that butterfly style. Looks like Teresa's getting close to being finished.
Still in second. She has just left.
At 223. Again, it's interesting. Most of these women here are not what you would call the elite of the elite for the skiers. I mean, compared to say a Tara Jackson or a
Alondra
Greenlee. But they do have some good runners here. Lauren already on the farmer's carry. And if I'm not mistaken, Lauren is never super fond of the farmer's carry. I don't think it'll affect her too much today, but it's never been her favorite station.
No. So we have that pack of girls out together at the ski erg.
Alicia Keeker lost some time there, both to Jess and to Teresa. dropping her back down now into 5th place, and Samantha Faddis jumping up into 4th. Lauren again, she's just so effortless. She seems to have that ability to just continue to go and go and go and go.
Mm-hmm.
Like when someone goes out normally that hot, they usually just die off, and she does not. She's got that willpower to just continue to churn.
Yeah, and Lauren's someone too who she doesn't always look like she's running the fastest, but she's throwing down some very quick times. When I rabbited for them in High Rocks, she was running 3:30 kilometers and just maintained that throughout. So she really has the engine to keep a solid pace. And I know she just ran a 36-minute 10K on the road. So if you want reference too for how good of a runner she is.
And she's not someone who does like a program where it's like she's running, trying to set PRs on 10Ks or 5Ks, whatever. She just runs almost for enjoyment to, to coincide with her regular fitness routine. So it's amazing what she can do. She's just an unbelievable athlete. And Teresa here has been she's impressed me. Like, I'll be straight out. I thought she was going to fade faster, but she seems to have a good engine. And there's Shannon Payne.
So she seems to have played her race to her strengths. She looks quite uncomfortable with this farmer's carry. And I'm assuming this is Jessica, who we did not have on our sheet for this heat.
But again, all of these ladies on the farmer's carry at the same time, they are all within striking distance of probably 3rd place.
And Alicia
has definitely dropped back. It's interesting. Shannon does look like she's going to make it through this and maintain that position. Or sorry, yeah, Shannon Payne looks like she'll maintain her position.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's, I'm sure, going to be hopefully trying to make it up on the runs.
Yeah, that's definitely her strength. So.
By the way, for the latest in hybrid fitness and race results and live race coverage, again, check into OCR Report on Instagram. If you're looking for DEKA race results, at the OCR Report on Instagram, you'll find all the results you need from everywhere, from everything from OCR to hybrid racing. Just subscribe, follow, mash the button, all that stuff. And Lauren onto the bike, and the last, I think back to Worlds, remembering Lauren, this is where she actually came apart at Worlds, where it finally caught up to her foot injury. And I think today she, again, much like Kent, is just going to try to set a good enough time. She's not going to overdo it. Mm-hmm. You see her going there. It looks like about a 250, 275 watt pace, already at about 151. She is hands off. She just put in a nice, comfortable bike for herself. Two minutes dead. So she looked like she probably went a little hard at the beginning and then just cruised into the finish on that bike. 2 minutes is still a very decent time.
Yeah. I'm sure Lauren can do much faster if she needs to, but she did what she has to do.
And then we got Teresa coming into the bike. She's putting in a pretty good tempo there, pretty good cadence. Getting up off the seat.
And this, I believe, is Jessica Contreras.
A little trouble getting it started, but now she's moving. looks like very similar pace, maybe just a touch faster than Teresa.
So I didn't see, but did they have them set their bikes beforehand, or did they just go in and try to find one with the right seat height?
Well, it looks like Shannon Payne has jumped onto the same bike that Lauren Weeks used, so I don't think they got out and got setting them first. No. Now they did do that for Worlds, which I think is very important to do. But on this one, yeah, here we can see that's Alicia setting hers or double checking it.
So that's another thing. If you've never done a DEKA Fit before, when you come into the bike, so know your seat height and either look quickly for a seat that is your height or adjust it as fast as you can. Because getting on 25 cals on a seat that is not good for you can take a little bit too long.
And realistically,
Looking
for a
good,
lot of
girl.
people, this is the longest zone. I mean, when you get on the higher end scale, especially the higher end men, yeah, it's not quite as long. Something like the ski erg is probably the longest, but I know many women, especially, are over 2 minutes, and that definitely becomes the longest. And that was an interesting technique. Stand up and reaching further down on the handles. I've never seen that before.
It's a bit of a Holly Hughes thing. So she was out, she qualified for Worlds as well, but kind of getting over top of the pedals. So using your body weight as much as you can, and then your arms kind of naturally fall that way there. So we
Ah,
see Shannon kind of doing the same thing.
yeah, but see right beside her, right there, where she's reaching halfway down the arms of the bike there.
Oh,
I've
oh,
never
I
seen that
see.
done. Yeah,
Mhm.
that is different. I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, she's moving pretty good, so
Yeah.
it looks like she's paying for it a little bit. Teresa out 221 on the bike in second place. So the battle for third here, and that is the bike pain face. That is, you can see it in her
So Jess has just got off her bike.
with a
Same
221,
pace.
and there goes Shannon Payne, the 218, making up a few seconds there now. I think this is now going to be a straight battle between Jess and Shannon. Can Shannon on the runs make up the time? Well, I'm going to have to give that a try.
Do we know who this is? Is this
No, I'm not
Samantha?
entirely.
No.
Leslie Hackett just came out with a 225. Now, we have seen Alicia Keeker has just dropped off. And is that a case of, again, going out too hard with Lauren too early? Lena with a 216, and then this is probably Samantha with
Yes.
a
Okay.
248. So I'm going to say it's not a great technique.
She might have just been on damage control already.
She was definitely hurting on that bike though. You could see it in her face. She was pushing hard.
Yeah, Alicia might have gone out a bit too hot. She was rowing really solid, so she might have taken too much out of her legs.
And there we saw Shannon Payne and Lauren running together. Yeah, she's walking now. This is definitely she's bleeding out now. 312.
Yeah, 212.
That's a rough one for her. So
And we
definitely feel
don't
for her.
see
She's someone
Ashley
that
Heller yet.
Yeah, I gotta go get the charger.
no, and I wonder if this is a case of again maybe she is she may have dropped out. She may have had something happen to her.
Get her coming in.
And here comes Teresa in second
And number
place.
two.
Second place. Good job, Sam.
Here's the end of the overwalls, and you can see again maybe a shorter statured athlete. She's really having to reach up high, and we could tell that again with the ski erg as well. But
Yeah.
not struggling with the weight whatsoever. I'm really interested to see. And there's Shannon Payne. Is she in? No, Jess is just still ahead of her. That's a hopefully we can stay focused on Jess and Shannon. That has become a great battle.
Shannon looks to be moving a little bit smoother around this one.
Well, again,
Again,
I think she's
assuming
got
this is Jess's debut.
yeah, she does has the experience, and I think that experience will really come into play on the tank. because it is such a different animal. Lauren again in cruise control, doing that row style.
Trying to save the legs a little bit.
There goes Teresa. She's out solidly in second. Teresa with a 1:11, actually 2 seconds faster than Lauren Weeks on that. Now, granted that Lauren was probably holding back, but Teresa showing that she definitely has some skill and some fitness for this. I'm trying to just watch the body language. Both of these women seem to be, they seem to be in good control there. There goes Jess. Shannon a few reps behind her. What do you figure that's about? 10 seconds?
10 seconds, yeah.
Yeah, well, and Jess made 6 seconds up on the station itself. And at this point, 6 seconds is big.
Mm-hmm. And the third place girls are about 30 seconds behind Teresa, so don't know if that's enough to make up in this 2 more stations.
Just from watching Teresa on the day, she seems to really know her pacing. She seems to really know herself, and I think she has a good command on the way she's doing, and I think she'll be able to hold on to this. But Jez and Shannon could go either way for that spot. Now, I'm trying to remember in past, how's Shannon's burpees been? I seem to remember they were a bit surprising. She's actually, if I'm not mistaken, can put in a pretty good pace on them.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing her do burpees at Worlds. But, I mean, again, with the experience, I wouldn't want to be side by side with her.
There you go, that Lauren is out. Done the tank. She's got just the ram burpees left.
So she could, so her best time is a 33:28. So coming out of those at 30:30, she could get under her best time.
Well, and her best time is the best time, if I'm not mistaken. I think this Teresa is moving incredibly well. She's been impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas it was a wonder if she would fade, I think she's actually picking up the pace.
Yeah, she looks really strong right now.
So that'd be good. It's good. A new player in this would be fantastic. And you can see when we talk about how good a runner Lauren is. I mean, Shannon Payne running is her strength, and Lauren is pulling away from her.
Mm-hmm.
There's Jess onto the tank, and again, we'll see how she does with this, and this would probably be a bit new to her. She's got one full length in. Waiting to see if we see Shannon Payne come into shot.
Kind of fiddling with those handles a bit.
And there's Shannon Payne. So she has a length and 3/4. That is a lot to make up. Lauren Weeks with the 2:48 on the tank. Again, not bad, but I think Lauren has more in her than that.
Yes. Let's see if so Jess is continuing to pull with both of the handle straps, which means she's going to have to use her legs on all of the pulls. So I'm not sure if I don't know if she just doesn't want to take the time to get her hands on the handles, but
Lauren coming into the ram burpees. I don't think her PR is in line, but she'll still put in a great time.
Yeah.
Sub 34.
Mm-hmm.
And as we said in the beginning, guessing sub 35 to make Worlds, which put her in a great spot and allow her to just peak at the right time for the rest of the season. She won't have to worry about hitting another one to get a good solid top 12 time.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa's still pushing well and moving really controlled. I'm super impressed by her.
And yeah,
So
she's still
I
using the
wonder,
handles.
I wonder why that style.
I don't
Well, it
know.
looks like we have some judging issues in the back or a tank issue. There goes Teresa heading out.
Very similar tank to Lauren.
And yeah, she is making a fantastic race. Lauren crossing the line. There you go with about
Looks like,
just under 34.
yeah, looked like a 33:59 unofficially.
And the fact that Lauren's still upright, still moving well, is showing you that she has more in the tank. Still
Yeah.
smiling as always.
So Shannon Payne seemed to come out before Jess. Did it significantly faster.
2:25 for Shannon Payne. That is remarkably fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's 23 seconds faster than Lauren.
That's Samantha. So she seems to be doing the pull, again, trying to use more upper body. Yeah, so any gap that Jess had on Shannon was just lost on that tank.
Now, I'm not one for controversy here, but is it possible that there was maybe a length missed there? That is
I don't think so.
no, because that's a very fast time
Because
compared to all the other ones.
it would be a down and back.
Yeah, down and back, 30 seconds, 34. Yeah, I mean it's. I hate to say that, so let's just go on the assumption that it's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But that is a fast time. That is great. If she did save it and if she did make that move there, that is really well played on her part. And here comes Teresa into the ram burpees. So as we said, we probably figured sub 35 to get in the top 12 this year. It was sub 36 last year, was roughly would had a chance to get in. So Teresa maybe not quite there yet, but definitely showing some great potential.
Yes.
And I think we'll
Definitely
find that,
capable.
yeah, with some, it'll probably end up being one of these things where she just needs to tune up her running a little bit. And here comes Shannon Payne in. Now, that was a big swing. And
Jess is right behind her.
fidgeting on the start of those burpees, though. Trying to watch the cadence here and see they are pretty much rep for rep, although using different styles. Shannon, and now Jess going to the step up as well. Step, sometimes jump.
And Teresa moving very well on these and just finishing now. There we go.
Right around a 37.06. That is a fantastic debut. Good for her. And again, she's, there we go. She's down. I'm sure she's got to be thrilled with that.
Oh, yeah.
Now the battle here. And you see Lauren back out there cheering for these women. These two are head to head. And it looks like Jess has maybe picked up the rhythm. Shannon has fallen off maybe just a little. It's so tough to tell.
Yeah.
But whereas Jess is still hopping.
Strategy a bit.
And Jess has come out,
goes.
made the pass. Again, she's going to be thrilled with that. Right around
And
just
Shannon,
under 38. And Shannon just came in across too.
Yeah.
So again,
About
we
10
saw both men's and women's the pass for third place on the burpees. And do you think maybe similar to Jack, out of eyesight, couldn't really
Yeah, so again,
maintain.
and it looked like Jess was trying a couple different strategies, and then at the maybe the second half of her burpees, realized although maybe it hurts a little bit more doing both feet together, hopping a little bit wide. I saw someone go. It might have been Yancy went over, and so she started to hop wider, which also it shortens your. So there we have our fourth place girl. Sorry, no, fifth place. I mean, assuming Leslie
Leslie
Hackett.
Hackett, 117, nice.
Mhm. Yeah, so when you have that wide hop up, it shortens your body length a little bit, and with the legs going wide, and just not being a shorter athlete, it could have helped her time a little bit more. And then the ram has to hit your chest. So as long as you don't have to hit super high, but if you're hitting even just a little bit lower, so yeah, she seemed to change up her strategy a little bit, and it worked in her favor.
So some interesting takes so far. I mean, obviously, Alicia Keeker here, she's doing some quick burpees now, but and there's Sam just going across with a 39.25. Alicia, her day just dropped off and bled out.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
Lena
and then we
in
have
there with a
Lena.
121 on the burpees. That's a good burpee run, but a 39.35. What do you think about that as a debut and coming from her background?
Yeah, I think that's a great debut. We don't know much about her besides her stand-up paddleboarding. So obviously, she's no stranger to hard work and being at that top tier level of a sport. So, and if she wants to focus on this, I mean, she has that work ethic. So I think she could take minutes off of that time for sure.
I mean, it does show you what a legit sport DEKA is and like how taxing it is, how incredibly amazing the top people at this, like Lauren, just showing how what an incredible athlete she is. When you have someone from another sport who is a world champion come in and just see how difficult it is. And there's Morgan. I believe that's Morgan coming across. Yeah,
Yeah,
133.
that's Morgan.
Now she did lose some time. We saw it in the background there on the tank. There was some issues with. I don't know if she hadn't done an extra rep or whatever, but she had some issues. And I think Alicia's
Alicia
going to
taking the
be
time to gently put down her ram. That's very kind of her.
very gracious and within the rules. Not the day she wanted to have.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, not the day I thought she was going to have. When she came out, I thought she looked so good at the start. I thought she was going to. I had her penciled in for that second place.
Yeah.
So great job
Well, she
again,
was
Lauren
one of the
Weeks.
few women who's actually done this before.
Yeah. So again, Lauren Weeks in first place, Teresa Rumfolo in second place, and then it was Jess Contreras in third
Hmm.
place.
Yeah,
And Jess
we're
coming
looking
in
at them
there,
right now.
yeah, she surprised me. She had a 16:31 for a strong, which I mean, let's be honest, is not a top end strong time.
Hmm.
So to just look at that on its own, I wouldn't have I wouldn't have thought she'd be there and beaten someone like Shannon Payne. Uh,
Hmm.
but that's good to see. It's nice. It's always good to have surprises. So congratulations to her. So Lauren Weeks, Teresa, Jess, Shannon Payne coming in fourth, Leslie Hackett in fifth, Samantha Faddis in sixth, Lena Agatis. That's a tough one for me. Die. Morgan Hawkins Jackins in eighth, Alicia Keeker in ninth, and Jessica uh, not submitting a time. And we did lose Ashley Heller.
Hmm.
So we can only speculate
Yeah.
as to what happened to Ashley, and hopefully she is okay and has
Hmm.
not got an injury, especially nothing too significant, much like Forrest. Hopefully, Forrest, when he didn't continue, hopefully it was a case of just, let's call it, being cautious. We don't want to see anyone get
Yeah.
hurt. And
Yeah.
and again, back from the men's, Ryan Kent in first, Grady Jackson with a tremendous effort for Grady. Grady, I'm sure he's going to be happy with that. Jeremiah Mahan in third, Jack Bauer in fourth, John Howard the third in fifth, Kyle Reed, Tate Cowley, Taylor Turney, who really put on a good show. He did fairly well, actually, again, making his debut. That 33.54 is not a bad time at all. And Lucas Garrett was a 34 dead. Um, just looking at that, though, looking at the 5K times, Kent really separating himself.
Yeah. And I mean, looked so smooth throughout. So you wouldn't tell. that he was running that much faster than everyone. But yes, he has he has run them faster, I believe. So again, taking it back a little bit without having someone with him the whole time.
Yeah, and Grady Jackson there. I mean, we did say that we thought to make worlds, you're probably going to need a sub 31. But 31:30, it might get it done, right? It so depends on what happens in the next races.
Mm-hmm.
Anything could happen. So Grady with a shot at it. I would say though, from third down, probably not going to be. They'll all have to take another run at it. And I know Jack Bauer will take another run. He will not be satisfied with that performance today. What are your big takeaways from the men? Anything? What's your big takeaway from the men's field?
Yeah, so we had some guys kind of take a chance and then really faded again. And so I think this shows with experience and just knowing that that beginning part of the race is about being as conservative without going too slow so that you do have something left. Otherwise, you're bleeding time again on those later stages of the race. And then how important that running is. So you saw, I mean, Ryan Kent's 5K time was so significantly faster. So you have to, again, be working on speed work and kind of getting that 5K time down as well. So of course it's compromised running, but I mean, also it's having days where you do focus on speed. He looked so comfortable running an 18-minute 5K.
Oh yeah. He did, and he looked comfortable throughout every station. This just seemed like we'll call it almost a tune-up for Ryan Kent, which just shows you the level he is at in comparison,
Mm-hmm.
and why he's one of the best in the world at this, and will continue to be, and is definitely going to be one of the odds-on favorites for this year's World Championship. I look forward to seeing him, Rich Ryan, and Ryland Stagg all lined up with each other again. I think that'll be exciting, and I have no reason to not suspect those three will again be at Worlds, ready to take the podium. It's going to be hard for anyone to knock either one of them off.
Mm-hmm.
Any one of those guys. What about the women's field? Take away from the women's field.
Yeah, that race was really exciting to watch because we had so many girls who we have not seen before, which is really good for this sport. It's growing. People are interested in it. And these are really good athletes. To come out and be running 37, 38 minutes for the DEKA FIT is really solid on your first goes. So, yeah, again, we didn't know who Teresa was, but she showed that she's someone who is probably going to be in that mix in the top DEKA girls. And she took it out and she maintained it. And then also using your strengths, what you're really good at, to your advantage. So Shannon Payne, although she was quite far out the back at the beginning, she knew the running is where she was going to catch up on these girls who had maybe taken it out a little bit hot, and she made up a lot of time there. Yeah, and then another new face to us, Jessica Contreras. So and again, she's been obviously chipping away a little bit at her DEKA movements, coming from a DEKA strong time. And I'm sure even her DEKA strong splits in this one would have been a lot faster than she did in that one individually. So yeah, run your own race, work your own strengths. And yeah, it's good to see some new faces.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with her splits were probably faster in this race than they were on her strong. And that maybe just shows that she was able to use that run as recovery, which a lot of people do. And I'm sure that was Kent and Lauren as well today, using that run as recovery and then tuning in the stations. I mean, that's fantastic. It's, again, good to see. And let's be honest, with some women's sports here, we're not seeing very deep fields. We're not seeing even full fields. And to see a nice field like that and some good competition is great to see, and hopefully a sign that DEKA is just going to continue to grow as it has leaps and bounds already this year from last year. So, Beth, you got anything else you need before we wind out today?
Nope.
Well, thank you,
But
everybody, for
I
tuning
really
in.
enjoyed doing this with you. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you want to see more of these, again, tune in to OCR Report on YouTube and become a member of the OCR Report. $5 and $5 a month, and you'll keep getting these. They will keep getting better and better every time. And you will get to see stuff like World Championships, other races, OCR races combined. So definitely thank you to everybody involved. Thank you to Josh, to Sean, to all of our rabbits, to Jack, to Will Hicks as well, and Jason Dupree, who on the technical side gets us all set up. And Bethany, was a pleasure as always. I'm sure it won't be long till we do something like this again.
Yeah.
All right. To everyone out there, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. DEKA SoCal.